You're now listening to Sound Talent Media. Check out more shows at soundtalentmedia.com.
This episode is brought to you by Stitch Fix. Love trying new fashion trends, but find it all a little intimidating? With Stitch Fix, refreshing your wardrobe has never been easier. They figured out the new 2024 trends so you don't have to. Just give your stylist your size, style, and budget preferences, and they'll send you 5 just-for-you pieces, plus outfit recommendations and pro styling advice. Refresh your 2024 wardrobe now and get started today at StitchFix.com.
What is up, folks? Welcome back to another episode of the podcast. Thank you so much for tuning in this week. And boy, do we have an episode for you today. Today, I am talking to Steve and Nick Balkun. They are in a band called the Balkun Brothers, and it is just them two. They're a two-piece, and this was a really, really fun conversation. Really got into some nitty-gritty details about baritone guitars and why Steve and I love them. So if you're looking for a baritone love fest, this is the episode for you. I want to get right into it, but I also want to say this is one of the best Patreon episodes that has happened in a while. The bonus episode that is attached to this, we go for about an hour, and we go to all kinds of crazy places. We go so pizza heavy, so pizza heavy on the first part. You will think that we are just as big of nerds about pizza as we are about pedals, and you wouldn't be wrong. There's ghost stories. There's the craziest gig story I've heard in a very long time. This is a fantastic Patreon bonus episode. So if you've ever thought about supporting the show and wanting to get additional content, this is a great week to start. And there are hundreds of hours of bonus content back there for you should you choose to support over on Patreon. That's patreon.com/tonemob. And I really appreciate everybody who does that. It is a massive help. I have just one small bit of business to get into before we dive right into this episode, and I want to tell everyone, because I haven't done it on this podcast yet, we at Stringjoy are giving away a Martin 00015. That's right. This month, if you buy anything from any of our dealers or from us, you can be entered into a contest to win a Martin 00015, or if you have an active subscription, you're automatically already entered. So go over to the Stringjoy website for all the details and all the legal mumbo jumbo, but it is right there at the top of the page. When you go to stringjoy.com, you'll see your order enters you to win a Martin 00015. I figured if you're listening to this show, you probably need strings anyway, and this is a fun thing that we are currently doing. So check it out at stringjoy.com. There you go. There's the plug. All right, that's enough business. Let's get into this episode with the Balkun Brothers. Here we go. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Tone Mob Podcast, the show about guitar stuff, occasionally, sometimes. I'm your host, Blake Weiland, and with me today, I have Steve and Nick Balkun from Balkun Brothers, the band, the guitar shop, all kinds of stuff, and most importantly, pizza enthusiasts. So that's why we're here today. We're here to talk about all kinds of nonsense. So welcome to the show, guys. Thanks for taking the time. I appreciate it.
Thanks for having us. We deeply appreciate it as well.
Yeah. Well, it was kind of funny once we started messaging because, you made the video with the slice of pie, which was epic. So thank you for grabbing one of those and doing that. That was a lot of fun.
I mean, thank you for creating such an item. I mean, it's one of my prized possessions at this point.
Well, shout out Grant. He was the Grant and Karen over there, where they were the real masterminds behind it. And I was mostly just along for the ride. They pitched the concept to me and I was like, absolutely. And a lot of time I've done other collaborations in the past, and in most cases there's a little more of me guiding the way a little bit, like, oh, let's do this and let's get it out there like this, let's get it to this person and this person, etc.
Right.
Instead with this, it was mostly like Grant and Karen would be on the phone with me and I'd be like, yep, I like that. That's a good idea. Yep, that's a good idea.
Sometimes you need somebody to tell you that your idea is on point.
That's true.
But yeah, no, they did an awesome job. And as far as just a cool pedal that for me, gear and pedals usually comes just as like a more utilitarian type of thing. Like, what do I need to get the job done and whatnot? So I'm not a big like pedal hunter, but I saw that one and it just I had to have it, Like we love pizza, and if you have that pedal, you must love pizza.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I know you guys love pizza, and the folks at Big Ear, they love pizza. So it really just fantastic concept all around. And that's really what got like why we're here in the first place, I guess, because you making connections through crazy gear like a pizza pedal.
That's like what my whole life is at this point, is just making connections through gear. Like the gear's cool, and I love the gear. Obviously, it's like my whole thing, but it's really about the people, and that's why this show just goes off into so many random directions. So,
well, absolutely, and what a wild thing that you can like meet somebody that way, or the internet in its crazy ways, bringing people together, and all kinds of ways, but we've come together over a celebration of a pizza pedal, which is awesome to me. I just think that's great.
Absolutely. Well, since it is about the people, I mean, tell me about yourselves. Obviously, you guys have a band together. You're brothers. That's pretty well established.
That's it. Well, it really, that's the number one question we always get, honestly, is when people, without fail, everywhere that we go, they ask us, "Are you guys really brothers?" It's like, sometimes
asked question,
number one question. So I'm glad that you just took it for what it was and assumed that we are actually brothers.
Admittedly, I did, I clicked your links, I did some digging, and I established that myself before doing too much assuming. So
right on. And we're pleased that you pronounced our name correctly, because that's the second thing that always happens.
Oh, really?
People say Balkun all kinds of different ways, and spell it all kinds of different ways too. It's kind of one of these things that like we've like started collecting misspellings and mispronunciations of the name, because people see the name and they could say the A or the U completely differently.
That's interesting. So normally I ask people beforehand. Like, even if I'm pretty sure I know how to pronounce their name, normally I ask them just to make sure I do the intro properly.
Yeah.
And then sometimes I still screw it up, but that's me.
You nailed it.
Thank you.
I was really happy about that.
Much obliged on that one.
I just didn't feel, I guess I need to be careful though, because I was like, no, that's Balkun. Like, of course it is. Like, of course it is. What else would it be?
That's it.
Thank you.
But I guess that's where it starts. Is we are family. That's us. We're brothers. We've been, I've known Nick since the cradle, since before he was born, basically. But we started playing music together like in our early 20s. We had been playing music before that, and doing all kinds of things together before that. But that's really, people sometimes assume that we've been playing together our entire lives, and in a way we have. But
we didn't form the band.
Yeah, the band was formed
13 years ago, maybe.
Right.
That's where we're at. 13 years of Balkun Brothers.
And what were some of your inspirations? What like made you even want to do that? Like, I know, like, I love my sister, but I don't know that I'd want to be in a band with her,
Yeah. I don't know if we ever really expected to be in a band together. We definitely were like on our own paths through our teenage years. And then Steve moved to Boston. I went to college in a different part of Connecticut. So we were kind of separate for a while. Steve was in other bands. I was in other bands. And then when Steve came home to go to guitar building school, that's when our band started. When he kind of came home from Boston, went to Georgia.
Yeah,
and
pretty much it.
I started a band, and he was at home. So
we were separately in different musical arrangements, different bands, and different projects and things. And we both kind of moved back to Connecticut and back home at the same time. And we were like, oh, wait a minute,
let's
you
try
play,
this.
you play drums, I play guitar. Let's make a band.
Right. Sure.
And
Did you guys
good things?
Did you guys grow up in a musical household, or was that something you discovered on your own?
I mean, a very creative household. Our parents are artists and, love music for sure, but not our dad plays a little guitar, but he's not a professional musician by any means. But our mom's an artist and does all kinds of creative projects, and dad's a wood carver and a craftsman in that right, and just surely big musical influences coming from their record collections. And we have an older brother too, which should be noted, because our older brother, he's the original Balkun brother, really.
Right.
And he's the one that, we're closer in age, so our musical tastes, were more similar compared to our parents' musical tastes. So, his record collection, we've pretty much stolen his entire record collection at this point. But growing up with an older sibling, you're usually exposed to stuff that they are more aware of, especially in the 90s. Growing up then, it was like alternative rock, the whole rock and roll scene in the 90s. That's what we were growing up listening to.
Yep.
Yeah.
Plus our parents, stuff from back in the day.
Yep.
But yeah, creative household. I wouldn't say.
I mean, we had some uncles and aunts that were definitely musicians.
Yeah.
Our cousin plays too. He was in the band for a little while. So
right, that's true.
Our older brother did play saxophone for a while. Steve played the trumpet. There were a lot of underlying things that somehow came together for this. Our great aunt was like a guitar player or something.
Great aunt.
Yeah. So there's in there somewhere.
There's a lot of artistic, creative blood flowing in the family. That's for sure. And I mean, we started just drawing and painting, do all kinds of stuff. Our mom was always making us do some kind of art project or something back in the day. It just got us creative, And so when music came along and started playing guitar and whatnot, it just was another form of being creative.
Definitely.
So, but yeah, that's kind of it in a nutshell. Is the upbringing is a creative atmosphere, and encouraged to be so, for sure. Like our mom was always telling us, think outside the box, have an open mind, taking us to art museums and stuff that we didn't want to do as kids. And now I'm appreciative of it, that's kind of how it was. And just, we're brothers, so we're always horsing around, and
of course,
just being brothers, we played a lot of sports, and our older brother especially was just having an older brother. I'm the middle, Nick's the youngest, and so we kind of always had to team up against Big Bro, our big brother Mark, because it had to be 2 against 1 to take him on. So I think that actually has a lot to do with how we form it. Our chemistry as a band.
Yep, for sure.
That was kind of the beginning of it, if you really want to get down to the nitty gritty.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's funny how so many people, and it's not necessarily always a brother, but there's so many stories that I hear that start with sometimes an older brother, sometimes a cousin, sometimes just a neighbor or whatever. But there's always this guy or girl just a couple years older that's hey, have you heard about this thing called punk rock? Or insert whatever here. And I know I did that for a few people growing up myself. And people did it for me. So it's kind of a funny thing.
You have people that expose you to what your brain all of a sudden thinks is cool or something, and you're like, wow, this is wild, or whatever. It hits you some type of way. But yeah, that was definitely our older brother. Our dad liked a lot of good music too, though. He was into the Beatles and Dylan and lots of Motown stuff, and good musical taste. But when we first started liking the stuff that we like, it was Chili Peppers, Nirvana, Rage Against the Machine, that type of stuff that when we got exposed to it, that was our stuff, you know?
Yeah. It's weird how that just happens with all kids, pretty much, really. If they're inclined musically at all or just really into it. I just remember bringing home some of the CDs I would bring home, and my parents were very tolerant of my, like, that's definitely not Dwight Yoakam that you're listening to in there. You know, like,
nothing against Dwight, but you know,
no, I love Dwight, but it's, you know, it's just like, you know, I bring home an Unearth record or something, and they're just like, Mom's like, I've never heard that before.
Yeah,
are you okay? Like, is everything fine?
Yeah, well, especially like, you know, in that era too, of if you grew up kind of in the 90s or 2000s or before, you know, but that's when we grew up. Buying records was different back then too, where, you know, hearing a record and bringing it home, and, you know, now there's so much exposure to everything on the internet that I feel like maybe a little less shocking if you're like into something crazy, but
definitely.
Yeah. Back then you brought home and like cranked up. I remember our parents just being like, the Chili Peppers, they swear way too much. You know, it's like we were really thrilled that the Chili Peppers records had a bunch of swears on them, you know. I was just cranking that stuff up or something like that, you know. We're like, that doesn't even seem so shocking at this point, but
right now we just talk about how he says California all the time.
Yeah. Become a whole different thing.
Yeah, it's weird and how it changes generationally too, right? Like Elvis was the most shocking thing ever, right? But that's just like what my parents listened to, and it was totally normal.
You know, Elvis. Sometimes still I watch Elvis, and it's like, man, this is heavy. This is some heavy stuff.
So absolutely.
If you look at it the right way, holy crap!
Especially you view it through the lens of the 1950s. And it is shocking. It's like, well, no one was doing that.
Yeah.
But it does make you kind of want to like take like time travel back and show them like a video of like, I don't know, like a Knocked Loose concert or something. Yeah. And just like, check this out.
No, there would be like religious riots and stuff. There already was.
There already was going on.
To Elvis and the Beatles and stuff.
Progression continues.
Yeah.
Yep.
But you know, rock and roll spirit still very similar.
Yep.
You know,
the core elements still the same.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
This is going to get on a tangent and jump like way far ahead from where we were, but
that's fine.
It's we recorded at Sun Studio.
So cool.
Where, you know, obviously it's ground zero for Elvis, and you could feel like it's a restored room, but they did a really good job at making it feel like it was still the 1950s in there, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And they even had a bunch of the original equipment and sound stuff and microphones and stuff, you know, like, and then we went in there, you know, blaring rock and roll music, but you could still feel like this enduring rock and roll spirit in there that began in the 50s and was still just as like, you know, it didn't feel out of place to play our like more modern type of rock and roll in there. No,
not at all. I'd taken a tour through there. So I know exactly what you're talking about. The vibe is just right. It feels good.
Yeah, it was super cool. We actually did 2 sessions there because the first one got destroyed and we had to do it again.
Oh no! What?
Yeah,
it got destroyed.
Lost the whole album on one hard drive.
Yeah.
Oh.
We got one song from it.
One song.
Yeah, we had to go back, which is fine. You know, that's what it's got to happen to every band like once.
Happened the way it happened.
And that's what happened. So the guy was cool about it, and we just got to do it twice, which was even better.
Yeah. Unfortunately, we lost it, but we got to do it twice, which was kind of fun to record.
Do you feel like the second take was better? It's hard to know.
Yeah, I mean, we pretty much just ran our whole set those nights. So it was kind of like, all right, we're kind of in a different place in terms of touring at this point. So now we're going to play all these songs. And I feel like,
it was a different point in time. It was like almost a year later.
Right. So,
oh, wow.
So we, you know, it was just different. I think they were both awesome, but the one that made it onto the album was like,
it was still good.
Yeah, it was a little heavier, maybe. I think we played like a little heavier set.
was different vibe, and we didn't really go there thinking, oh, like this is the album we're gonna make. We were like on tour, booked a session, played kind of a live set in the studio, and like saw what happened.
Yeah, we picked our favorite songs out of like 25, 30 songs that we recorded.
Yeah.
Oh wow, got it.
Yeah.
The second time was fun because we did it late at night, and the guy that runs it
overnight.
The guy that runs it, he was telling us Sam Phillips used to like to do the blues guys late at night because there was like, less hassle, and he could get them in and they could just let loose and whatnot. So he was like, let's do a late night smoky blues session. And it was really, really fun to be like,
he opened all the doors to like the homeless guys were coming in.
The cops were coming in.
Really?
Yeah, no, it was
not even to like bust up our good time, to just like hang out.
Yeah,
they're like, hey, what's going on?
That sounds like Memphis.
Yeah.
Sounds about right.
For sure. Yeah.
Very Memphis.
So yeah, I think the second set maybe had a little bit more of that kind of dirty Memphis vibe going on.
Yep.
Which is good.
Yeah.
If you're in a place like Memphis.
That's right. I love Memphis. We went there several years ago. Wow, it was a long time ago now that I think about it. Just by happenstance, like my wife and I are huge Lucero fans.
Yeah.
And we just accidentally scheduled our vacation down there during their like block party they do.
Yeah.
I was like, well, this is convenient.
Good timing.
Which is awesome. But then, fast forward to now, and I don't know how familiar you are with that band, but I've become friends with Brian, the guitar player. So he was here just like a couple months ago, hanging out, twiddling knobs in the shed. I'm like, this is so weird.
Nice.
This is just me talking on the internet leads to the strangest places.
That's what I'm saying earlier. You never know, like how do you meet these people and how do you cross paths? But this is the modern way of doing it.
Yeah, big positive of the internet.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Oh, huge. Yeah, huge. My dad's constantly like, "Wait, you're gonna do what? You know who?"
Right.
Like, I'm like, and he's like, "How do you know them?" I'm like, "Well, how do I know them?"
Instagram.
Yeah, Instagram, podcast. The podcast is I love it. I love doing this. This is a lot of fun for me, but sort of on a weird professional level. I'm in some podcasting groups and stuff, and one guy asked a question the other day. He's like, "What's the most like surprising thing about podcasting you didn't know when you got started?" And I was like, "I didn't realize that it's like a weird networking tool."
Mm-hmm.
Now I can hit up people that I have no business talking to at all.
Yeah.
Like, oh, maybe I'm a fan of this person or whatever. And I can hit them up with like, not just like a question. I can be like, hey, do you want to come on my podcast? And most of the time, if they respond, the answer is yes.
Right.
And then all of a sudden now, not only that, now we're going to sit down and we're going to just talk for an hour. Our phones are away.
Right.
We're looking at each other through a screen most of the time, but sometimes not. And we're just going to sit down and have a long conversation.
Yeah.
And there's not really anything else like it.
No.
It's wild.
What a fantastic outlet to like dig deep in with somebody too, not even just, when you used to interview people back, even just a few years ago for, an article or a piece online or a magazine or something, you usually get like this much.
Yes. Yep.
But
and you get to provide context. Like you can be like, oh, well, because otherwise it's like it's two brothers in a band. But it's like, but why are they in a band? Right. I want to hear it from them.
To get back to why we're in a band, we decided we could be in a band, but we also, around the same time that we like started playing together, we got arrested, and this was a big catalyst to the band too. And I was in a different band, and Nick was kind of just roadieing and hanging out. And we were driving up to Vermont or something, and we got nabbed in New Hampshire. And it was a big moment where like we went through this whole crazy experience of getting arrested and like having to deal with what happens with that. And nobody else was there. It was just the two of us, And it was like,
really,
we went through this experience together. And it was like, my band that I was playing with, they took off, like went to a party, and we were like, nah, I'm going to go back home, just go to sleep. And like, my band ends up having a great time at a party, and we got arrested trying to go home.
And there was birth the band.
And there was birth the
Wow.
band. Yeah, because
That-
like who else can you have a
was the
band
turning
with
point
at
in
that
life.
point? Yeah.
All right, you know I'm going to have to ask this question. I also understand if you don't want to answer it
Right.
for legal reasons, but what did you get arrested for?
Well,
Crossing state lines with what are now 2 legal substances.
yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
that kind of nonsense. You got that.
Yeah.
Mhm.
we got
Which now
we didn't
nothing would have happened.
we didn't kill anybody.
No.
We weren't violent towards anyone.
Or even speeding.
It was just we were driving
Not
home
drunk, nothing.
at the
but-
wrong time of the night with a
Mhm.
bag of weed and some mushrooms.
Mhm.
And,
Both things that are legal in my state. As
Come on, man.
And you know-
you know.
and here we are. We started the band.
Yeah. So it's worked out. It's worked out just fine for us.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah. So never mind. That's just irritating to me to even think about. But
I mean,
whatever.
we were there.
You can go on a deep tangent about that stuff, but it was what it was.
We've gotten a lot of songs out of that experience.
So maybe it was all fine in the end. You got the songs out of it.
Yeah,
so.
absolutely.
We lived.
Mhm.
We lived. But what good rock and roll band hasn't had like a couple mug shots taken? So.
Exactly.
Yeah, or at least should have.
Yeah. Right. So that was the.
I definitely should have at a few different points in my life. I should have had some mugshots, but I got away with
we
it.
should.
Good.
Probably had more than a few, but
Mhm.
so usually the rock stars hit that point later in their career when they're spiraling out of control. But we hit it.
Yeah, we started it.
We
there.
started it, there.
You got it out of your system.
For sure.
and now we're kind of leveled out a little bit.
Right. That's probably a good thing.
Yeah.
I think that get it done early, then you can move on with your career.
Yeah, and
That's for the best.
Now we
go.
got work to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, kind of like Tim Allen, get the cocaine dealing out of his system when he's in his 20s, and now he's super successful. He's Buzz Lightyear.
I guess so.
Never drawn that comparison, but I can see it.
We're basically Buzz Lightyear.
Yeah, that's what I see.
Yeah.
That's what I see.
Yeah, man.
So obviously, one of the other things that grabbed my attention, other than the video just being well done and funny that you did for the slice of pie, which everybody should go check out, go find it. The Instagram algorithm isn't always the kindest these days, so go
Right.
to their page and find it. But there was the guitar. And my first immediate question, because obviously I knew you guys were in a band, because,
Right.
this band tagged me, let me check this out.
Sure.
Yeah.
I was like, what is, and I'm pretty sure it's that black one that's right behind
It's
you.
right there. Yeah, it is.
And then that question was quickly answered by, like, oh, he makes guitars.
Yeah,
So
it is.
how did you get into that?
so yes, this is.
Take it down. Probably
this-
take it
well,
down.
I'll take it down in a minute, but it's a baritone guitar, which is kind of my thing lately. Which well, we can go deep into baritone guitars in a minute, but
Yeah.
basically getting into guitar making. Like I said before, our father's a woodworker. It was just, I think it was inevitable after I started playing guitar that like guitar and art and how to combine those two, it's pretty much guitar making. So, yeah, at some point I had a crazy idea that I wanted to, make a guitar that was a mix of a Jaguar and a Stratocaster, because those were like my two main guitars. And I drew up some plans and like went to my dad. He doesn't know anything about guitar making, but he's got a woodworking shop and whatnot. And just said, hey, can we figure this out? Kind of made like a rough body. Didn't know how to make a neck. Didn't know how to make oh yeah, it is over. It's over here. But anyway, figured it out with my dad. And that was like, I got bit by the bug pretty hard. This
That's
is
the body of the
first one.
first one.
Oh, wow.
If you can
Okay.
see it, and if we describe it, it's like the upper half of a Jaguar and the bottom half of a Stratocaster.
The shape's cool.
Yeah, I actually have a more perfected. This is like the first one when I didn't know what I was doing, so it's a little rough around the edges, but yeah. And then I just found a luthier that had a little small school kind of apprenticeship deal in Atlanta, and went and studied there and just learned, actually learned the craft for real. But I learned guitar repair, restoration, modification, all kinds of things like that. And then got into building and, actually making guitars from scratch by hand. And that's, it really just was one of those rabbit holes that I opened up and I have never returned. I'm only
that happens.
Yeah, I'm only digging deeper. So now I've got guitar shop, which we're sitting in right now, Balkun Guitars, and basically been running that since I finished my apprenticeship. Came back to Connecticut, and me and Nick started the band right about at the same time.
And kind of coincided together, and we're surrounded by so many guitars right now.
Yeah,
yeah.
So I've got a pretty busy repair shop here. So I just have tons of guitars that I'm working on, all in various projects and forms. But this guitar and this wall of guitars here is stuff that I've built and made, which is a whole different side of it. A whole different art form. Crafting them and repairing them. But the one I was using in the video is this baritone right here.
Hi, I'm Vincent, and I'm here to talk about the Mercury X. My dad's always going on and on about how cool Maris is. He really went off on one about the Mercury X the other day. He said something about a 4,800 hertz sample rate, and 99 preset locations and 33 banks, and something along the lines of the most advanced reverb pedal ever devised by man? That's all true, but I only care about one thing. This pedal sounds sick. So make sure you check out the Mercury X and all the other fine products at maris.us, as well as fine retailers worldwide. All right, Dad, now can I have my Pocky?
How exactly do artists get their music on Spotify, Apple Music, Deezer, Tidal, all these services? How in the world do you get your music there? Well, in the past, you had to use something called a record label. But these days, you can use DistroKid. DistroKid is the absolute easiest way to get your music up on streaming services, and it's the most affordable way to do so. Not only do plans start at $22.99 for the entire year, that's less than $2 a month, DistroKid also does not take a cut of your streaming revenue, unlike some other services out there. Even better if you sign up by going to tonemob.com/distrokid. That's tonemob.com/distrokid. One more time, that's tonemob.com/distrokid. You'll get 30% off. That's right, 30% off their already extremely reasonable prices. So go to tonemob.com/distrokid and get your music out there. Yeah, let's go through that thing a little bit. I want to know more about what's going on there.
Yeah, so this guy.
So for the listeners, it's a black, sort of, I don't know, how would you describe that?
So it's
kind of Stratty, but not.
It's an offset. It's the shape is based off a Jaguar mostly. It has a left-handed Stratocaster tremolo, so that's kind of what makes it look Stratty.
Yeah.
And then the upper horn is kind of curved around a little bit more. In reference to like Les Claypool's, Carl Thompson's, and also a bit of like Lemmy Rickenbacker influence in there.
Yeah.
With the pointy, kind of like the pointy horns here. Obviously, you can see there's a whole bunch of pickups in it.
I can,
and it's got a humbucker and a single coil going to one output, and that's just guitar stuff there. And then it's got these bass pickups here, which are split. It's a P bass pickup, a DiMarzio, but they're split into their own individual pickups. And so there's a toggle switch here for the bass pickups, and a telly slider kind of switch for the guitar pickups.
I love that.
And these two is kind of the same idea as like a neck and a bridge pickup, but they're the bass pickups and they only sit under the low strings. So this one gets the low 3, this one gets the low 4, and that's basically it. It has its own output. that one goes to a bass amp. The guitar stuff goes to a guitar amp.
It all makes so much sense now.
And and it's a baritone. So just inherently, this is a 27-inch baritone.
You knew I was going to ask that question.
Yeah, there's a wide range. It like you can have, I mean, people are doing these short scale, like 25.5-inch scale baritones now.
It's kind of fun. Yeah.
And then there's like the super long 30-inch baritones. And somewhere in between. I like the 27 though, because it's, I think it's the most comfortable and it's the most familiar. It's basically the same exact interval measurements as your standard like 25.5-inch Strat scale, except it's extended, so the way that the frets feel and the width of them it's like playing a Strat. You just have a few more frets down at the low end here. Super comfy, and I tune it in B. I tune this one in B anyway. I got another one that I have for slide that's open B.
Sweet.
Swirl.
And then the swirl. That's my swirl there.
I like the swirl.
Yeah.
The swirl's nice.
Yeah, this is carved in there, and instead of just slapping my name on there, that'd be cool to do like a little art piece on the headstock,
Yeah. You've managed to do something that's really hard, which is to make something unique that also still looks cool and like it probably has existed in the past, but it obviously has not. That's very challenging to do from a guitar design perspective.
Yeah, I know. Well, they really knocked it out of the park early on as far as design goes. And as far as I'm concerned, everybody's just chasing the classics. There's some cool modern innovations happening for sure, but it's really this one included is an ode to like so many other designs. This is just what I personally liked. I was like, these are all my favorite elements. I'm gonna slap them together, and it took a long time to arrive at this particular design and setup, because it really came out of, like I said, a utilitarian type of thing first, where we started doing this duo thing, because we had iterations of the band before that was a trio, quartet. We had horn players, other guitar players, bass players, the whole thing, and then we just started doing the duo thing just out of necessity, because Nick and I were always down for gigs, but the rest of the band wasn't always down for gigs. And we were like, whatever, we'll start doing just guitar, drums, super stripped down, kind of, old school White Stripes, Black Keys style. Regular guitar, no fancy bass pickups or anything like that. It was just a loud guitar, loud drums. But after a while, I was like, I think there could be more to this, because I always loved rock bands that had a really prominent bass, going on, like Primus and the Chili Peppers and Zeppelin and the Who, and like, you think of these big riff rocking bands.
We love Flea and freaking Les Claypool. Those are our favorites.
Yeah.
So we needed some bass in there. We just had to figure out how we were going to add it and shape it over the years.
And without having like a backing track, or it had to be something natural. It had to be something that we do a lot of sort of free flowing improvised type of stuff, and it wouldn't work using a backing track or something,
right?
Though we
jam a lot,
we do
improvise so much during the shows that
there's a lot of jamming happening.
But adding the split signal with the bass amp, we have so much low end now when you see us live, and we run like some sub drum machine stuff where you can hit some really low stuff, and we're running a lot of bass.
Yeah, consciously. Yeah, we always get the thing of like, what do you guys? You don't like bass players? What's your problem? Why is there only two people? And it's like, no, we love bass. We love that big fat low end, and I always loved playing bass myself. Like I build bass guitars. I'm a very rhythmic type player, so I always just kind of connected with the rhythm section like that anyway. And so trying to figure out how to play some type of low end and still have, you know, a big sounding band sound with the guitar and the drums and whatnot. It was like, it became really interesting to me. And not only musically, but like I started learning how to build instruments and stuff. And I was like, well, I got to figure out how to make something that can do this, you know, like it can do low frequency bass stuff. It can do mid-rangey, high end guitar stuff. And then I played a baritone guitar in a studio, and it was just like lightning bolt moment, you know, of like, oh my God, not only is it just really comfortable for me because I'm kind of tall and lanky, and, you know, the bass always felt a little too long, but a guitar kind of almost felt a little too short to me. And I was like, this fits me. This is me. I should have been doing this my entire life, you know? And then just the idea of like how it's physically set up and designed to have bigger strings, longer scale length, lower tuning, even if you just play it acoustically without any of the fancy, you know, signal switching and stuff. It can do that. You know, it's like set up to be this instrument that plays this bass and mid-range melody thing at the same time, you know?
Yeah. The baritone really is a game changer. I've just like ranted and raved about how much I love baritone guitars on this so many times, but the amount of listeners that I've got that are messaging me now, they're like, you were talking about baritone so much, I finally got one.
Yeah.
Now I get it.
Yeah.
I understand. Those scale like a Squire, which those are great.
Yep.
I like those things.
Yeah.
And their whole world changes. And
I've been completely converted. And honestly, you know, I've got a guitar shop here, so I get a lot of lots of guitar players coming in, and there's a whole, you know, population of guitar players and just, you know, musicians and regular people don't even know that a baritone guitar exists, you know, that it's like a thing. And I'm probably a little like you, where I'm spreading the gospel of baritone guitar, because it's just
absolutely
completely changed my entire life. You know, like my entire creative process of thinking about guitar and guitar playing is now related to, oh, well, how could that happen or how could I do that in the baritone guitar? How could I arrange this tune with the baritone guitar now instead of, and it is kind of a different feel to just tuning a regular guitar down, which can work for all kinds of great things. But having the bigger strings on the longer scale length, it's like, it's its own instrument, you know, it really is. It's almost as different as bass guitar to regular guitar, you know?
Yeah. Well, and I think, especially playing in a more like stripped down band context, like for instance, like all my music I record by myself. Yeah. And my whole first record was primarily baritone guitar.
Nice.
Like it was just baritone guitar into the most insane effects arrangement going out to multiple amps.
Nice.
With the amps were mic'd, the room was mic'd, and then I just went in and like, all right, I played the crazy, weird, scary horror music, and then, you know, went back in post and played around with it till I could get it all to work together. But it's mostly just me. Most of the tracks are one take.
Yeah.
So not all of them, but
that's the way to go.
Yeah, and so I found like having that extended range, but also still being able to play high stuff. Oh, yeah. So it's like it would be hard to do on a bass.
Right.
It wouldn't really work. But being able to go to both ends and kind of play in that wider spectrum is nice when you're by yourself.
Well, and, you know, the next step is you just have a drummer. And so it's basically, you know, this is the only melodic instrument in the band other than, you know, sort of the way that Nick plays the drums, but the drums are the drums, and this is that's really what it is opening up the spectrum. You are playing with a wider swath of sonic frequency, and especially, you know, having different inputs, different amps and stuff. You're really opening up a giant Pandora's box of what can be done. It's like, I really think that's, there's not too many baritone guitar players that you can pick off the top of your head. There's maybe like a handful, a couple handfuls maybe that you could think who's,
and even some of it, they used it differently than I think a modern player would. You go back and you think about like the tic tac bass stuff in the country music back, and then I'm like, that's not really it's cool. Right. That's not really what I'm talking about. That's not quite the same thing.
Yeah, there's so much room to really get creative with it. And it's almost the same idea as like a piano or an organ or something, where you can play that low end stuff and still have melodies happening up here. And it's not exactly the same, but if you think of that idea where there's multiple options of melodic and tonal things that can happen in different ranges, like as a musical composer and an arranger, it just opens so much to where when you just have a normal guitar, not that there aren't plenty of masterful, great normal scale guitar players that have done a million beautiful things, but
of course, most of my guitars are quote unquote normal guitars.
Right. Sure. And that's what I've learned on too. So, but just to think about it musically, when you're like, oh wow, there's this whole extended low range that I've never been exposed to and never even thought about, like, what would I do with it if I had it there, that's really what the baritone guitar has done for me and for our music for sure, where it's like, oh man, I could literally write a bass part and that would be the basis of the song, like instead of coming at the instrument always from, all right, these are the guitar chords, we're going to write a section and then kind of have a soaring guitar solo that everybody loves to do in here. And it's, obviously I'm no exception. I love playing a good soaring Jimi Hendrix solo, but to think about the guitar in more of like the rhythmic, low, big riff rumble type thing of how the heck am I going to make a bass line out of this and a guitar part, like that to me is super, super interesting area to explore.
If you check out our new album, our first single is called Dennis Chambers, and it's like a bass jam in the beginning of it.
So just bass and drums
before the wah wah comes in. And when he plays with the wah wah, it sounds like there's multiple people playing. And that's after people asking us how to say our last name. And if we're brothers, they always ask, where's the other people in the band? Because they walk into the club and they're like, it sounds like you're like a 5-piece band.
Yeah, where's the other guys?
So that's kind of how you can accomplish that.
Yeah, and thinking about it, it took me actually like getting a baritone. I think, like I said, I actually got a baritone 7-string was my first extended range. It's actually that black one right back there. It's a Roni Paramore, and I think it's the only one that exists.
Wow, all right.
But I didn't know what to do with it at first. I was confused. And then I got a 6-string baritone shortly there afterwards, and then I started understanding the 7-string more,
right.
Which then led me to the 8-string. Which I'm still figuring out.
Slippery slope, man.
I know.
Just keep at
be Jared Dines before I know it, right?
You're gonna end up with one of them 17-string ones.
Oh man. I have a story for you, but I'll have to tell you off the air. Anyway.
But yes, like to your point, the 6-string baritone, it, more or less you can play it like a normal guitar. It's like a little bit more familiar, And I think that's a good spot to start, because I really do think, not just because I like to think about the baritone guitar, as some special thing, but I think that it's like kind of an untapped area. It's just starting to that people are digging down the rabbit hole of the baritone a little bit more, and builders are building them a little bit more. There's like some more options out there than kind of like you only had the weird Fender Jaguar ones that they don't make anymore, or the Dan Electro ones, which aren't,
they're hit a little hit or miss.
They can be a little weird. But I think it's a cool area that I don't know. You can do a lot of cool stuff with it. You could do heavy stuff, obviously, but you could do lots of really funky, grooving, kind of just like R&B and funk and soul type stuff with it too. Blues for sure. I don't know. It's really endless.
Yeah. And we're starting to see that reflected on the string joy side of things too. Like we have a 13 and a half baritone set. I mean, we have custom sets too, but the 13 and a half baritone set is really nice on B tuning and like 27-inch scale guitars. Actually, it's primarily when people ask us like, try this first.
Yeah. What does it?
But we're seeing that pick up just naturally from people obviously are picking these up more and more and more because we're selling more and more of those sets. So
What does it go down to? A 60 something?
60. Scott's the expert with this. I'm just like, send me that set. It's 64, I think. Okay. Don't quote me on that. I'll have to look afterwards. Nice. But I believe that's what it goes down to. He's probably gonna hear this and be like, "No, it's not. It goes to a 68."
Well, either way, I'm gonna check it out because that's one thing also that's like kind of hard to find. You go into a guitar store, or even just your online outlets or wherever, and it's like you've a million guitar strings. Or you walk into a guitar store. Anytime I go to a store to check out gear or whatever, we're on tour and we're like, let's check out a shop. I'm always looking for a baritone guitar they maybe have they maybe have one, and if I'm lucky, if we go to a good store, maybe they'll have more. But it's like one of these weird things that you can't just go to the store and be like, hey, can I have your nicest baritone guitar string and try out your nicest baritone guitar? It's kind of almost like back in the day when you had to hunt down stuff a little bit more. The baritone's still a little more elusive, so which can be can be frustrating at times. But I use a lot of string joys in the guitar shop here. I've seen a lot of people bringing them in.
Oh, well, thank you.
I don't. I've been using the Diodario baritone set because I can just get them kind of easily. But I may check out the string joy ones too because. Like I said, it's always good to experiment a little bit, and when the options are limited, you can only experiment so much.
Well, yeah, we can talk about that after the show too. That'll be fun.
Right on.
So we got plenty of things to play around with. That's half the reason we exist as a company. So.
Yeah, nice. But it's good to hear that people are getting into it because, like I said. For the duo thing, it works incredible. It's like,
of course,
exactly the thing that if you're going to be in a duo band, you probably it would be the way to go.
100%.
And I saw people like Local H. They were doing the duo thing, and he just kind of has the Stratocaster with the bass pickup in it. But I saw that stuff and I was like, oh my God, putting a bass pickup in a baritone guitar. That was the ticket, it took me years to figure that out. But now splitting the signals at the source is the way to go. You have so much control over everything.
That's right. Yeah, and it's interesting that isn't a little more talked about because like Rickenbackers have been doing something sort of similar, not exactly the same thing, but they've been splitting the signal. That a lot of people are like, how does that work? It just splits the pickups. That's
right. You got one going this way, that way, but at that point, you can treat them completely differently, and make all kinds of crazy sounds, which is the whole point of why we play music, is to make all kinds of crazy sounds. But
absolutely, 100%.
It's just really fun too. Yeah, I really just enjoy it and find a lot of satisfaction in like playing the bass notes and trying to figure out like, oh, well, we're doing this tune. What would the bass player do? What would the guitar do? And also on the other side, I think it makes the guitar playing different too. It like, cause I have to use my thumbs a lot and keep the bass grooves going, keep at least something there. And when you're playing like that, your fingers have to play like the guitar stuff and the chords and whatnot that you would normally play in a different way, just because of the way that you have to use your hands, and so it's almost impossible for me to play the same way that I would if I was freed up with an actual rhythm section, and I think that's pretty interesting, when I see people that can do that, or it's really like an old school blues country finger picking type thing where they played melody lines and chords with their fingers and thumped a bass line or droned a string or something. It's like that same exact idea, except you're using amplification to like further separate and amplify everything, which I think is really cool because the guitar has kind of like made its way into a whole bunch of different ways of playing, but like electric rock guitar, you think of, there's kind of a style that's been established of this is how you play this certain way, and trying to do loud, fuzzy riff and rock in like a finger picking type way is kind of strange.
We are brought to you today by Sweetwater, specifically the Gear Exchange. You may have heard about this. This is a place where you can go to buy and sell your used gear. Maybe you got a pedal over there that's just kind of collecting dust. Maybe there's something you've been eyeing from the Sweetwater catalog. Well, right now is a great time to turn that unused gear into something you're actually going to use. Even better, if you sell on the Gear Exchange, you can keep 100% of the sale as long as you choose a Sweetwater gift card as your payout method. That is not too shabby because, let's be honest, most of this buying and selling we do is just to fund new gear purchases, and that is a great way to reach a wide variety of customers and keep 100% in your pocket, or rather on your pedal board. So go check out the Sweetwater Gear Exchange and turn that unused gear into something that's actually going to help you write that next huge riff.
Hello there. I'd like to introduce you to your new best friend, the Chase Bliss Audio Lossy. Lossy is a collaboration between Chase Bliss and Goodhertz. And it's meant to give you some control over those weird digital artifacts that come with very compressed audio. You're hearing it right now. All the changes that are taking place are strictly coming from my playing dynamics. I'm just interacting with the pedal and letting it do its thing. In some true stereo goodness. If you'd like some more details about Lossy, I'd invite you to head over to chaseblinssaudio.com. I think you're going to like what you find.
A little bit. It's a little bit out there. But you're right, it is a little bit of a throwback because, the bass guitar, as established as the bass guitar is, there was a long time where guitar existed and bass guitar did not.
Right.
There was upright bass, there was that, but until the P bass came out, there was no electric bass. That wasn't thought of. That wasn't a thing. So they had to figure out how to fill out that range by themselves. Right. And that's where a lot of those styles come from. And we've kind of slipped away from it as the rock band as we know it is, at least a 3-piece usually.
Right. Yeah.
And so some of that stylistically has just changed a lot. So that's an interesting point that you bring up about like, it's actually kind of throwing it back to that stuff.
But also, cranking it up to Jimi Hendrix volume and,
Sure.
And that's more or less just all it is. This is really loud rock music, but like, if I'm going to do, we have a joke in the band that the bass player, his name is Thumbone. And so we're always like, give it up for Thumbone and all night. But it's just a lot of this, just the thumb going on the root notes, and I have to just hit notes with my thumbs and my fingers, kind of like this. Nick calls it the lobster claw. But I'm playing like this a lot, instead of like, I'll use a pick sometimes too, though, if we have some big, heavy riff and stuff. I kind of go back and forth, but
Right.
But it just, general point is it's just really kind of interesting to think about it in a different way, where it's like, the music kind of started sounding different at that point too, where we recorded a few albums with the bass player, kind of bigger band style, and more sort of generic, like power trio, rock and roll, blues style stuff, which is great. But the stuff that we're doing now is like a little bit more exciting to me, just creatively, because you have to think about it so differently.
Totally. Well, we are approaching the end of the podcast, and I got a couple of classic questions to get into, one of which I think might take a little while, so we better get started.
Let's do it.
But before I do that, I like to give the guests a chance to, take the stage, shout out anybody you want to shout out, plug anything you want to plug. There's a few thousand people you can tell about whatever you want to tell them right now.
Well, what do you want to tell them, man?
Well, just check out our website, balkunbrothers.com. That's our band. Check out Steve's guitar website, balkunguitars.com, BALKUN.
That's it.
We're always on tour, playing all across the globe, and we'll be rocking and rolling. We just put out a new album called 735 Farmington Ave. We'll be putting out another new album coming up. We're writing some new songs.
Yeah, there's always new stuff going on.
Yep.
Say hi to our mom. If we don't say hi to mom, we're in trouble.
I hear, yeah, absolutely. You don't want to run that risk. She might hear this and be like, "You didn't say hi to me." Beautiful, beautiful. All right, first question: what is your favorite Boss pedal?
So, do you have a favorite Boss pedal? Do you even know what a Boss pedal is?
Yeah.
But I'd say mine. I got the Digital Delay 3.
The DD3, classic.
It might be my oldest pedal. I can't remember, like, maybe my wah-wah, but I've since had multiple wah-wahs and swapped them out. But I think the first DD3 that I ever bought when I was like 16 or something, I still have it and still use it. It's been the only one that's still there from like my first ever. If I had to get a pedal, it was going to be it had to have some delay,
Yeah, it does the job. It sounds great. I love the DD3.
It does everything for me, that I need. And the fact that it's still going, I have pretty much like kicked the crap out of it. So as I do most of my gear, but that one, most of the pedals have either come and gone, but that one, man, workhorse.
Yeah, Bosses are pretty indestructible. I did a video torture testing a Behringer pedal, and a bunch of people were like, "Okay, cool, now do it with Boss." I'm like, that's going to take 2 weeks to film.
You have to throw it down the Grand Canyon or something.
Yeah, I think it might survive.
I mean, they are. There's something about the geometry of that square, the rectangle.
Very strong stuff.
Say, but
yeah. Okay. All right. Well, Nick, I don't want to leave you out of this. So what's your favorite kick drum pedal? How about that?
Kick drum pedal. Oh, man.
Yeah.
What I'm using right now is DW9000. I love the 5000. We have that on the practice kit in here. That's probably my longest pedal. I did have Pearl Eliminators for a while, but DW9000 for my double pedal all day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We need that double pedal.
Yeah, for sure. Double bass is key in our band.
Absolutely. It's a key in every band, as far as I'm aware. I can't do it, but I like it.
It's part of it's part of the bass sound. It really is.
Yeah,
like
they got to come together.
If you don't have a bass player, the way that Nick plays the bass drum mimicked, coinciding with like my thumb bass.
Yeah.
It all works to make this imaginary bass player happening.
Thumbone, the imaginary bass.
Exactly. Thumbone.
All right, final question, and this is where I think we might extend the episode a little bit here.
I'm ready.
What was your favorite kind of pizza?
So, if you know,
yourself.
well, if you know anything about Connecticut, we are born and raised Connecticutians. I don't even know what you call somebody from Connecticut.
Connecticut's?
I don't know.
Ooh.
We got a fresh pie over here. We love all kinds of pizza. I must preface this. We are just pizza fanatics. And when we're traveling around and touring and whatnot, it's one of the top things. I mean, almost every traveling touring band probably hits a lot of pizza places, but
hey, that's why we're here, right?
Yeah, it really
that's
is.
Right.
But we love pizza so much that
we've been waiting to open that pedal for like months. It's been sitting in my studio. We hadn't opened it. We were waiting for the perfect pizza moment.
We really were.
Wow.
We saw the box and we were like, oh man,
we didn't even look at it.
It's too good. And we just ended up being in New Jersey and going to that pizza place.
We knew we were going to go to the Crispy Pizza, and that was awesome.
It was really good, but the box looked exactly like the fuzz box, like the.
I noticed that.
And
yes,
it just happened to work out. We did not plan it at all. We just were like, I think we have the pedal with us, and this box looks amazing. Like
we had to do it. But back to our favorites.
So our favorites, obviously Connecticut is known for New Haven style upbeats.
Our grandfather always took us to Pepe's.
It's what we grew up on.
The original Pepe's forever.
We have a bunch of family. Our mother's family's from New Haven. And
we still go there regularly.
It's like a religious experience for us.
Every time.
And if you come to Connecticut too, have you ever been to Connecticut?
I drove through it one time on my way to Boston, and we were kind of in a hurry, so we didn't really stop.
Right.
That's pretty much.
My wife and I keep talking about like specifically going to New Haven.
You got to do it.
I want to go. I got to hit Sally's. I got to hit Modern. I got to hit Pepe's. I got to
do it.
Yep.
Our grandfather swore by Modern. We always, we've gotten Sally's on stage with us plenty of times.
Yeah, but I don't know. Grandpa Vinny, he was a big Pepe's guy.
So
too,
we go to Worcester Street quite frequently.
Yeah,
but up by us.
But up by us. If you're talking about the regional specialty of the Balkun Brothers, of what
we grew up
on, this is called Park Lane Pizza. Can you even see it?
And
what it?
There we go. Oh yeah,
We've got black olive here because that is a specialty of ours.
I do like a black
good,
olive.
Salty black olive.
All right.
And but what it is a Greek style pizza, which might be sacrilegious growing up in an Italian family, but this is what we grew up like. This place is right down the street from our house, and it's like somewhere in between like a Sicilian and a New York style. Like it's a little thicker crust, almost like a pastry crust, almost. And
they've been around for over 50 years now.
Long time establishment. Like our dad used to go there in high school and whatnot, and old school place. Real old ovens. They cut it.
It looks good.
It's a circle pizza, but they cut it into squares, so you get these little like side triangles pieces, and then you get like square pieces.
I'm so hungry right now.
but
man, that looks good.
But this one, honestly, it would probably be one of those places if you're driving down the road, like you wouldn't even stop at it, But if you go in it, it's like throwback to the 70s. Nothing has changed. It's like still all this. The guy that owns it is like 100 years old and still is there every day. And
it's got the jukeboxes on the tables.
Yeah, the little jukeboxes and the brown wood paneling. So
that's probably, I would have to say, our favorite pizza.
real
Park
old
Lane
school
pizza,
Park Lane
West
pizza.
Hartford, Connecticut.
And if you ever come to Connecticut, we'll definitely we will definitely give you a tour of the good New Haven stuff. But this is a good stop too.
Pie.
If you come up, Hartford area has a lot of this Greek pizza going on. I don't know why, but there's several places that kind of do this thing. And we also have the Pepe's is kind of like franchised out. So there's one in West Hartford, not too far from here.
Yep.
But the original one, you got to go to New Haven.
Yep.
It's something.
The oven, the water.
There's something about the oven.
The whole operation is just different.
It really is amazing. But like we said, we love all kinds of pizza, and we like the deep dish. We like the. We've been to places where the pizza isn't so great, and we really appreciate living in a area of the country where we are spoiled with just like great pizza all over the place. But I will say, I can't not mention that our Grandma Balkun, used to make a serious grandma style pizza.
True.
And
True.
If we were to,
and that's where Steve lives now. This is.
I actually live. I bought my grandma's house, so there's a lot of like grandma's spirit here. But she had this pizza. I don't know if you ever seen like East Coast grandma style pizza.
I have. I've had it.
Yep.
Well, at a restaurant, but
so, sauce on top, cheese underneath. Or sometimes
Parmesan, shake it on the
Parmesan,
sauce.
a lot of oregano, and she would cook it in like a baking sheet, so it was a big square sheet. Something about the crisp of the crust. I don't even know how she did it. Like, if there's one pizza, Grandma's not around anymore, unfortunately, but if there's one pizza that like I could have again, I would kill for Grandma Balkun pizza.
Yep.
Just that old school Italian,
amen to that,
grandma style pizza. It was so good. She used to come over and just make us like sheets and sheets and sheets of them.
That sounds incredible.
It really was. It was really, really, really good stuff. So that's like that, and Park Lane Pizza are what we really grew up on. And then, the New Haven side of the family, we'd go visit them. And
our dad used to live in Chicago, so we got the deep dish as well. Which
we got a pretty good pizza education growing up. So
So there you go. There's our synopsis. That's pretty much equal to anything we've accomplished in our career, is knowing all that.
It is. If there's one thing, it's like we live for just making rock and roll, playing with guitars and instruments, and like pizza, And so bringing it all back around, when we saw this pizza pedal, like it was a must. I saw it up. I think I was on your page already, and then you guys like announced this pizza pedal, and it was like, I showed it to Nick, and I was just kind of like, cool, look at this thing. And Nick was like, we need it. Let's buy it right now. How much is it?
We had ordered it by then.
Yeah. And so it didn't take much convincing, but also I finally plugged it in, and, I had been using some different fuzzes before, and, got the job done or whatever, but I plugged that thing in and like immediately was like, here it is. This is like the sweetest fuzz tone I've been looking for. Just personally, it checked all the boxes, super simple. I don't like a lot of knobs, and sounded great right away. And of course it was like a pizza. I was just waiting.
Every show after that, everyone always asks. The guy always asks.
What is that?
Pizza pedal.
What the heck is that pizza on your pedal board?
That was actually part of the the whole concept, because Grant and I were like, if we're at a show, of course we're looking at the pedal board if we can see it, right? Guaranteed we're gonna look. And if I see a piece of pizza on there, if I can't talk to the guy, I'm at least taking a picture of it and like finding out later what's going on.
What is going on there? And with me, like I've got such a weird setup with like this weird hybrid baritone guitar bass amp thing that people are always just checking. They're already checking
curious,
stuff out,
right?
And now since I've had the pizza on there, that has taken over. Honestly, I'm surprised. That's the number one. What's the pizza? And then like, and what's up with your guitar? What the hell? What's going on? But it's really cool. I love rocking it, and I keep joking with people that it does absolutely nothing, but when I step on it, 20 minutes later, pizza will be delivered to the stage.
Hey, I wish we had that
build
superpower.
That into the next version.
Call your nearest delivery.
It calls delivery for you.
Yeah, it's just, we need a pepperoni. Quick, get it here.
Yeah, no, we're gonna have a Pepe's Pizza pedal next.
Well, if you guys ever come to Portland, it shocks a lot of East Coasters. I've gotten the opportunity to take some friends to some very, very specific spots. See, that's the difference, is like Portland has a lot of really good pizza, but it's not like New York or something where you can just be like, that one over there is probably good. It's not like that. Like there's definitely, it's all pretty, it's all pretty good, right? It's pizza. It can only get so terrible. Well, I say that there was a really terrible pizza place in town that closed because it was absolutely awful.
It can happen.
Yeah. I would literally, it was where I used to work, not at this pizza place, but close to it. It was the only place that would deliver where I worked at. So we would get it regularly. And I got to the point where I'd just shave all the toppings off and throw the crust in the garbage.
no.
It was so bad.
Well, yeah, we showed up to a gig not too long ago. Actually, when we did the pizza video, we were going to a gig in New Jersey, and like on our rider, which usually nobody pays attention to our rider because, who does, but it like our only requirements are pizza and whiskey. And yeah,
solid. And I knew I liked you guys.
And usually like 98% of the time it doesn't happen, but like the time that it does, it's pretty good. But we showed up and the guy just had ordered like 20 pizzas and they were terrible. They were so bad. But luckily we had stopped at this place, Crispy Pizza, that I had been eyeballing for a while.
So we just went outside and ate our own pizza.
Yeah, we brought our own
pizza.
They're like, thank God. But this is usually
we're always prepared.
It's usually part of our journey is like, all right, where are we going? Where and what pizza place is it taking us past where we can stop along the way?
Mm-hmm.
If we know we're going north, we can stop at this place. If we're going west, we can stop at this place. And
south, there's no pizza.
yeah.
Okay.
But, unless we stop at Pepe's along the way.
No, I know, but I mean, like,
if you get to Nashville,
Nashville's
the
middle,
Well, we did have some. We did.
Yeah,
have
it's true.
Pizza in Nashville, but I think it's closed. It was a place called Soulshine.
I don't know about that
Balkun
one.
Brothers themed.
It was cool.
Bar, pizza place, music venue, which was right up our alley.
Okay.
Like, this is checking all kinds of boxes for us. But they surprisingly had really good pizza, but I don't think they're there anymore.
Yeah. There's 5 Points is like more classic, like New York style. And then there's a brewery that kind of, I think if I remember the story correctly, it just opened and then lockdown happened. And they're like, what do we do? Like, so they started making pizza. It's called Smith & Lentz Brewing, and it is phenomenal pizza. Like really, really, really good. And then there's an Italian restaurant called Napoli that has great like wood-fired Italian style. Their Quattro Formaggi is out of control good. And then there's one more. Oh, no, that one's close. So there's one actually used to be close to the String Joy shop, like really close, called Joey's House of Pizza. And it was a full-blown New York family.
Nice.
You go in there, they yell at you. Like the whole 9 yards.
About. Like
you need that.
Around here, we're always joking that like we go to these Italian places and we love it when like the people, they're not being rude. They're just, it's like tough love almost, you come in and they're like, they have expectations from you, and if you're messing around, it's like no BS,
Yeah. At Pepe's, if you didn't know your order when the lady got to your table, she was leaving.
Yeah.
She wasn't looking at you.
And even
that's how it's supposed to be.
Even this place, Park Lane, like we called them up, we've ordered there literal million times and they still give us the same, like, yeah, okay, well, it'll be ready. All right. And like, and it's something that makes us feel really, really, I don't know. It's like you feel like you're at home in some place like that. Now they have to give you a little bit of a hard time,
That's right. Yeah, at Joey's, there was a system, right? You had to follow by the system. Like you go to this line, you order your pizza, you make your way through. Then if you want a salad, you order the salad from this guy. And we sent somebody to go in there and they like went up to the salad guy to order. And I think that was the owner, if I remember. That might have been Joey himself. And he just like stared at him. And he's like,
what are you doing?
And he's like, what? And he's like, I'd like to order a pizza. He's like, this is a salad ordering spot. Like, what are you doing here? Like, go down there. That's where you order the pizza.
Yeah, but
it's like, oh, sorry. There's just a guy behind the counter. I didn't know there was specific
you want
guys.
A real New York experience. It's like that's what it's like living in New York in the Northeast. Really, you kind of have this like hard edge attitude that
or like the mobster room in the Chicago one's always downstairs. If it doesn't have a mobster room,
is it a real Italian place? I don't know. Is there a back room where shady deals can happen?
Yeah, because I got shady deals to do, mostly with pepperoni. But
exactly.
Well, dudes, this was a lot of fun. Thank you guys so much for coming on.
Letting us come on and talk your ear off.
Yeah.
I loved it. I loved every second of it. So maybe we'll do a little more on Patreon.
Cool.
What do you say?
Do it. My mouth is salivating over here.
Yeah, go ahead and eat. It's fine. I'm not going to stop you. All right, everybody. For Steve and Nick, this is Blake. And as always, folks, good luck and good tones. Alrighty, folks, there it is. There you have it. And there it goes. I hope you enjoyed this episode. And again, I just wanted to reiterate, the Patreon bonus for this week is absolutely bananas. It is so good. It's one of my favorite ones we've done in a very long time. I guess we is in me, but yeah, the royal we. It is genuinely so much fun. And there are so many episodes back there for you. If you at all have been thinking about supporting the show, this is a good week to do so. And if that's not in the cards for you, I totally understand. But I do want to ask yet again, please share this with somebody. Share this with a friend. Share this with a family member. Somebody that you think would like this episode or any other episode. Just pick your favorite episode and force your friends to listen to it. Just put it on their device and be like, I'm not going to speak to you again until you listen to this podcast. Something. You might have to get really insistent about it. Or whatever. Just ask them nicely. Do whatever you got to do. But try to get them to listen to this show because that is how this thing keeps going. Everyone that has shared, everyone that has ever introduced this to one of their friends, it is a massive help. So please, please, please keep doing that. That's what keeps me going. And I very much appreciate everyone who does. Alrighty, folks. I will talk to you very soon. Don't forget to check out all the links for the brothers' stuff in the show notes. And I'll talk to you on the internet very soon. One last thing before we totally sign off here. I just want to remind you that if you do any shopping at Stringjoy, that's Stringjoy guitar strings made in Nashville, that will help me out as well. As I've said for years, I'm heavily involved in that company, and I really do think they're making the best products on the market. So if you would like to try custom strings, go to tonemob.com/stringjoy and check them out today. I seriously love what the team down there is doing. I help them out with all kinds of things, and by you supporting them, you are also supporting me as well. And hey, you need some strings, so why not get some custom strings just for your guitar and playing style? Again, the link for that is tonemob.com/stringjoy, and that will take you right to their website, and you can do all your shopping through there, and that will help everyone involved out. So thank you very much. Talk to you next time. We are brought to you by the wonderful folks at Gun Street Wiring Shop. Yes, Gun Street Wiring Shop. I've talked about them before. I used to say based out of Bend, Oregon, but guess what? Sean moved to my neck of the woods. Sean's in Portland. Sean is awesome and has helped me with a bunch of stuff lately. And if you have wiring needs for your guitar, he can help you too. If you want to get weird with it, he can get weird. If you just need to spruce things up a little bit, there's your guy. He takes all the guesswork out of doing your guitar wiring, and he makes it simple, and his customer service is top-notch, and I can't say enough good things about Gun Street as a company. I really respect Sean and what he's all about, and the product is top-notch. I've got 3 different guitars that now have Gun Street harnesses in them, and I could not be happier. So go to gunstreetwiringshop.com and check them out.
What's up, everyone? This is Jay Reason, and I want to let you all know that Diablo's Den Podcast is now part of the Sound Talent Media family. Listen in as me and the one and only Danny Diablo, a.k.a. Lord Ezak, interview artists from the hardcore, punk, metal, hip-hop scenes and beyond. We have conversations with guests like actor Peter Green, DJ Muggs from Cypress Hill, LA street photographer Estevan Oriol, Jimmy G from New York City's legendary Murphy's Law, and pro wrestler Vampiro, to name a few. If you're a fan of good discussions and lots of laughs, tune in and join the fun.
Well, hey friends, my name is Zach Lupetin. You may know me from the band Dust Bowl Revival, but I also host a music discovery podcast called The Show on the Road. For the last 5 seasons, I've been able to dive deep and have intimate chats with folks like the Lumineers, Ani DeFranco, Wolfpack, Keb Mo, Lake Street Dive, Bela Fleck, and more. So guess what? After 150 conversations with some of my favorite songwriters from around the world, we are bringing brand new episodes to the Osiris Network. New interviews and intimate acoustic performances will be coming at you this summer. And which episodes are coming next, you ask?
I am Zach Goody, the lead singer for the band Smash Mouth.
Our band is called Milky Chance. We are based in Berlin.
My name is David Shaw. I sing and write songs with my band, The Revivalists.
Trust me, these conversations go some wild places. So subscribe to the show on the road on Osiris, and we'll see you soon.